All right, so here's a board we're gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna use for the headliner. It's a 8x4 sheet, and to start off with, we're gonna cut the length of it, and we're gonna cut it down to 5 feet. So we're gonna keep the width at the 4 feet, and the length is gonna be 5 feet. And then after we do that, we're gonna go ahead and fit this up top. I got everything done on the roof. I got the shade in, and then I got this plastic around here. I painted that already, that's good to go. So now I just gotta fit the board in here, this board, and after measuring, it's exactly 5 feet. 5 feet in length is what I need. I'm not gonna put the switch up here, so I'm gonna cut that off. And I'll probably cut that off, which is that used to mount the factory map light on whatever car, on the Lincoln. So the reason I'm gonna cut it off is because you can see it kind of comes down right there, and it's gonna keep the board from sitting flush up against the tub. So I'm gonna cut that out, and then I don't have the switch bezel for that bracket, and my buddy had a good idea, which he did in his car. He ran the wires down to his switch panel. He had it down here, and he just added one more switch. He had a 5-panel switch, and he added I forgot, I don't know where he had it, but he had one of the switches here for the sunroof, which I think is kind of cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and leave this just as flush as possible. That board comes up to about right here with the 5 feet, so the visor brackets will also hold that in a little bit. So after we cut it down to the 5 feet, I'm going to show you what to do after that, but that's the first step here. Just cut this down in length to 5 feet. Okay, I got my mark here, 5 feet right here, those bunch of dots right there. That's the 6 foot mark, I mean the 5 foot mark, 60 inches. And I got my jigsaw here. My jigsaw, bought it at Harbor Freight. It was like 20 bucks with the coupon. So we'll see how it does. It should be okay. I'm also gonna use this to cut the hole once I get it marked over there. So I'm about to cut this, and I'll bring you up back. I went ahead and I cut the 5 feet, like I said earlier, and I test fitted it in here. So I got everything. I actually zip tied the board up all the way pressed against the frame here, right here. And then once I had it all the way pressed in, you can see the board here on the top, and that's where I went and marked it. Right there on the board. So here are the holes for the zip ties. The front zip ties went to the front drains right there. It was just zip tied around here, and I made the holes in the board to zip tie it up. The metal zip tie was on that bracket that I welded right there. You can kind of see the zip ties in there now. And then the back was zip tied to that last bracket. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out, and then I am gonna use my visors. So I marked it here on the bottom. I don't know if y'all can see it. Where I need to cut a hole. I'm just gonna use a hole saw right there, so the bracket can fit in. There's one of the brackets here. So I just need to cut a hole that big, so it can go through the hole there. So these brackets, the visor brackets, will be holding the headliner up on the front. So that also helps hold the board. So let me go ahead and cut this out, and I'll bring that back. All right, there I started the hole with the hole saw. And the piece I'm gonna cut out And now I'm gonna go in with the jigsaw and just cut right along that line. All right, there's a hole cut there with the jigsaw. I started with that the paint stand over there, and then I noticed it got kind of flimsy once I was getting closer to finishing the cut. So I moved it to this table here just so the board can be a bit more sturdy. But anyways, that's the cut. I don't have a lot of experience with the jigsaw, but from what I just learned and did right now, just take it easy on the curbs. Just go slow. I mean, it's not a race, and that way you don't butcher it up too much. There is some spots that are not completely perfect. I mean, it's as good as it's gonna get. But if y'all do run into any kind of crooked lines, there's a trim that finishes that off. Let me get it here. Excuse me. So that trim actually finishes off the hole. And that's the original trim for my roof. So once you put the headliner material on, which goes on the other side, you know, you cut out that same material from the hole, and then this goes in between. This goes in between the board and the headliner material. So I'm gonna just flip this around and then cut the holes for the visor brackets, and then I'll start putting on the material. So I'll bring y'all back. Well, the headliner's glued in already, or the material to the board. So I'm just letting this dry, and I'll flip it around so y'all can see the other side once I install it. All right, guys, we got the headliner. It's not in, it's just pretty much being held up by this chair right there. It has a hydraulic pump. I just pumped it up just to push the headliner up. So nothing's in place in the back. We just slid it in there for now. The only thing that I've done, and not by myself, I have my happy helper here today, Sophia. She helped me hold the board up, and it's pretty even. Yeah. She was holding it right here just to make sure it's even up against the frame here. And I did slide in those zip ties on the corner. Man, you can't see them, sorry. Anyways, the zip ties are on the board up into the front drain, which I'm not using that front drain. And whenever I glued the headliner, I didn't glue it all the way to the front because the plan was to add these self-tapping screws to the board and onto the roof here, the main frame of the roof. So that's pretty much holding that in pretty close in place now. So the next thing that's going to hold the headliner in the front in place, aside from those self-tapping screws, is the visor brackets. So as you can see here, I made the hole in the board, and then there's obviously the original hole in the back. You can kind of see it there. So all I have to do is I'm gonna make a hole on the headliner here to slide that in, and then I'm gonna screw in the 3 screws that it uses, and that's gonna hold the corner of the headliner in place. So it's getting there. You can't really see it now, but I put in the driver's side cell panel. So what the plan is to get everything fitted in today, and then I'm gonna have to go back and paint all the stainless trim for the interior. But I wanted to show y'all how it's screwed. The board is screwed to the front of the frame there, and then I also cut a notch right here for the mirror. So once all that is screwed in, I'm gonna trim this and then tuck this inside of the stainless steel trim here. So I'll bring y'all back when I get that done. Hey, real quick on the headliner board, I just wanted to show y'all, this is the back windshield, of course. So on the headliner material, I didn't glue it all the way to the back of the board, and the reason for that is because of this. So the board itself is it's self-tapped. You can see the screw there at the bottom. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I put 4 across. It may be overkill, but you know, it's not gonna fall, you know, it's not gonna go anywhere. Once you put the board up on the roof here, the middle kind of sags a little bit, so that'll keep any kind of sagging from happening. It's pretty much the same in the front. It's self-tapped to the, there's a frame here that goes right before the roof. It's in the front and in the back. Just make sure you don't use long screws, because then you're gonna have a hole in your roof. These are 1/2 inch self-tapping screws, so there's no way for them to go all the way up. I did measure that, and there's maybe about a 1/2 inch clearance on the inside. So, and the self-tap screw it's a 1/2 inch itself, so there's very little coming out. But that's what holding on the board there. And then this is the back, and then you got your trim that goes right here, which will finish off that like this right here. See, all this has been finished off with the trim. The trim right there is just on for test fitting now. I obviously need to restore it, which I am. But that's what it looks like. Here's the finished look. Man, I got a really bad glare. Let me get on this side. That might help a little bit. You see, I still need to do the back. I need to tuck in the rest of the headliner inside the cell panel here, and then finish off the back with the trim, and then install the rear cell panel, and then this roof rail trim on the inside. This side is kind of done there. And again, I got to restore all the interior trim. I just wanted to test fit it and make sure everything was the way it needed to be, and then you know, I'll go ahead and restore it. But I just wanted to show you all the board in the back, because I finished off the front without showing y'all what the inside looks like, but it looks just like the back. Let's get to the back over here. I've been messing with this thing for about 2.5 days. So this is really the hard part of the interior, and obviously because you're not supposed to have a sunroof in this car, so it's all custom made. So there it is, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off, and then add my blind brackets for my Venetian blinds, just to make sure everything fits. And then I gotta take all the interior trim off again and restore it. But I'll bring y'all back once everything is buttoned up. Here's just a quick recap of the material I used on the headliner. Here's the glue that I used. It's a 3M yellow super trim adhesive. As you can see, it says it bonds heavyweight automotive materials, and this stuff is industrial strength, so it's really strong. It did the job. I ended up using 2 cans of this stuff for the headliner and for the cell panels. I would recommend you buy this ahead of time online, because it's a lot cheaper. If you try to buy this stuff at any local shop, it's gonna be from 25 to 30 bucks a can, and I got both of these cans for 30 bucks online. So if you just try to plan ahead on that. This is the jigsaw that I use to cut out the hole in the board, and to cut out the length of the board. I bought this at Harbor Freight. With the blades, it came out to like 25 bucks. And here's what's left of the board itself. And again, that's the name of the board, the length and everything, length and width, and the thickness. And this whole board was $8 at Home Depot. So whenever you go to glue it, you can see it has like a textured side. You want to go ahead and glue on the smooth side. So here's what the smooth side looks like. It's kind of shiny. On the material, I bought 4 yards of foam back vinyl. Here's the vinyl, and then here's the foam. I think this was 3/16 inch foam. So the foam, once you glue everything, the foam hides a lot of the imperfections. And I bought again, I bought 4 yards of this stuff. It came out to like 80 bucks for the 4 yards. So you don't have to spend a lot on a headliner. And the headliner's done, minus the headliner trim. And there it is. It's a medium gray, light gray, medium gray, whatever you want to call it. And it came out good. You see I did the cell panels and then the headliner itself. There's the other side right there. So all I have left to do on the headliner is to actually restore all the side trim. As you can see, it's really oxidated. It's aluminum, so I mean, it's all the original trim that came with the car. So that's gonna be next. I haven't put in my blinds yet because I have to take off the trim to restore it. The trim actually holds in the blinds, the brackets for the Venetian blinds. But I have less than $200 in this whole headliner, and I can't imagine what a shop would have charged for something like this, because you know it's a custom headliner. It's a one-off. There's no blueprint for this. My buddy Lone Star gave me the idea on how to do it, because he had done it on one of his Impalas. He had a 62 Impala that he did it on, and I really don't see no other way to do it than the way he told me, or he showed me, you know, with the board and the fabric and all that. And it came out good. I'm happy with the results. I went with a medium gray on the headliner just to have a pop color, and just to break off the red. There's a whole lot of red going on, and the gray actually matches. Well, I have really bad lighting in here, but it matches the face of the Dakota dash, and it matches the color bar, and just a few little gray accents here and there. So the gray went with it nice. I also did the medium gray on the blinds, and I'll show y'all a video of that whenever I finish up the interior. That way you can see the blinds. So I have the dash, the blinds, the headliner, and I'm gonna paint the batteries the same gray, just to have a pop color, accent color, just to break off the red a little bit. Just a whole lot of red, and I like that you can see, you know, just a little bit of gray on the inside when you're walking, you know, from behind the car. And then, you know, once you get to the dash, you can't see it because of the lighting in here, but you know, you'll see the gray dash, and then, you know, the aluminum pieces give it a good touch. I like it. So that's it for the headliner, guys. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money. Under 200 bucks in the whole thing. Try to do it yourselves. And again, these are all the materials. They're very inexpensive. It is time consuming, I will say that. I was messing with this headliner for about 2.5 days, but it's good now. The only thing I have left to do is to restore that trim, and I haven't decided what exactly I'm gonna do with it yet. So that's it for the headliner, guys.